like with any online community, they like it's like a high school drama. You know, there's always like the cool kids, and there's like the nerds, like the ones who go really into it. Like they have a I saw this like yesterday actually, because I knew you were coming. I'm like, let me try and get back into it. So I was like looking around the internet. They have a Dungeons and Dragons styled tabletop RPG. These guys designed. You can play, or you pick your character, you pick your class, you pick your job, and you just play it with your friends with dice and whatnot. And like, so that's like the nerdy side. Then there are like the trolls. They're the ones who like every episode threaten, we're quitting because this episode was bad. And then the next episode they say it again, and you're like, you've been saying that since season 1. Like, what are you talking about? And then you have like the weirdos, the ones who like are really into ponies, like in a dangerous way, if you know what I mean. And you're like, ugh, and like everybody else tries to stay away from them. So like, because you can divide it up into so many like little categories. Like it's hard to say like there's one big unity. I mean, like we all like the same thing, but how we like it is different.
So that's so interesting. And so, like, the popular ones, are they, like, the leaders? Like, how do you recognize, like, do you recognize people by their screen name? Like,
well, the guys who write for Equestria Daily, the ones who, like, kind of own the site, I wouldn't call them the leaders, but I mean, like, they're well known for just owning that site and writing all the articles on it. So, I would say they're popular because of that. But, like, I wouldn't know how to, like, really put it. Sorry.
do you feel like, I guess the leaders are kind of the more, like, reliable ones, like, with the accurate information?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Also, the artists are very popular. People love the artists. Tumblr. If you go on Tumblr, a lot of artists are there, and people follow them. And, they love everything. There's one I'm a fan of. It's called Hot Blooded Pinkie Pie, and this guy obviously likes giant robot TV shows because all of his stuff is influenced by that. It's pretty funny.
So, like, is the Brony community, like, welcoming to new people, like, coming on to because I know some online communities, some people, like, hate newcomers,
Yeah.
with anything, like, but do you feel like the Brony community, like, welcome people, like, onto there, or is it kind of, like, a tight-knit kind of community?
I mean, it depends, because people can smell trolls. Like, if somebody's trolling. So if somebody wants to watch it just so they can, like, make fun of it, like, like, why are you even here? Why are you wasting your time? But other than that, like, they're just give it a shot, and if you like it, then you're pretty much a brony. Like, you can call yourself that. You can do whatever. There's no club initiation, no hazing, no nothing. You just watch the show. If you like it, you can talk about it on the same plane as the other people who also enjoy it and watch it.
Awesome. So it's more like the Brony community, like online community, is more like discussions about this show, right? Or is it like more about the creativity aspect of it? Like, what do...
Again, I'd say that depends. Like, there are always discussions about the...
Online communities in general can have hierarchies, and it can be based on, who's been members the longest, or the kinds of actions they take, the amount that they post, or the amount that they produce, how they treat new members, different things like that. Within fan communities, hierarchies are actually fairly common. There's a phenomenon of what's called a BNF, which is big name fan. And big name fans are people who write particularly notable fan fictions, or who produce very popular videos. As soon as you get a community that's big enough to need structure, need some sort of organization. And so you'll have, people that are on LiveJournal versus people who do bidding, and there will be crossover. You'll have people who are on, this particular group versus this particular group. You'll have fan fiction repositories that have different rules, and that will sort of spread people around. With bronies, I imagine that you have people who are out and proud, the people who are sort of hide it a little bit. You also have the people who like it ironically. And so you have these kinds of things that make it a sort of a complicated, even the love for the object can be somewhat complicated.
Yeah, well, I think you find that whenever you have a gathering of a number of people who share something of interest, again, it could be a lifestyle, a cultural taste, some sort of, media text that they all like, eventually people will create differences. It's not just they share something differently. And what often happens, is hierarchies and orders, social orders start emerging. I mean, the people have written about in the Harry Potter fan world, the notion of the super fan. That's someone who, is not just really, really engaged with the world of Harry Potter, but begins to almost be an official fan granted by J.K. Rowling, right, who might say to that person, or almost like bestow a kind of honor on that person by allowing them to be part of the franchise as well. So there are always sort of differences being made around this. I mean, and I think bronies are no exception.
The point of the show is, love and tolerance. Like, or it's not the point, but that's like the brony. Like, if there's ever somebody like trolling, it's just love and tolerate. That's supposed to be like what you're supposed to do in reaction to that.
Fan communities often have sort of embedded morals in them. It's not about profit. It's not about fame. It's not about glory. It's about love. And I think that goes a long way towards sort of creating the foundation for really strong bonds between people, and also just on a community level, even without interpersonal connections, that there's strong community connections.
There's some simple themes in there, though complexly expressed, about love and friendship and support and tolerance. And I mean, I think it's a fascinating cultural phenomenon that young men are being able to express themselves and discuss this. Young straight men, right, who are saying this because there's a culture of masculinity around them that doesn't promote those values, and maybe they're finding something that's missing in the rest of masculine culture is this, right? So I think that's something that should be, attended to. That maybe people are trying to figure out, young people, like, what is this thing called love and friendship, when, social media sites try to tell us what friends are, and it actually dismantles friendship more than enhances it. Maybe there's something to this that people are finding, even in what seems to be the most childish or debased cultural product, just like a simple cartoon about ponies. They find something that brings people together, which is really the essence of community and sociality in a culture. And a culture needs that in an age of fragmentation and isolation.
I do think that bronies will always exist. Like, every fandom still has its fans, and people are still interested in these shows, games, or whatever. They'll just become less prominent, if anything.